Yo, Wagwan, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to mix an R&B trap beat in FL Studio 20. You should be able to use this to mix trap beats and rap beats and whatnot, and pretty much any type of beat, but I'm going to be focusing on R&B trap because those are the beats that I personally make. So if you make like R&B beats or trap beats, this should work for you as well. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Jay Carteret from jcarteret.com, teaching you how to be better at music production, online marketing, and online business. This is the #1 spot for musicians and creatives that don't want to be starving artists. So if that sounds like you, click that subscribe button, check out the rest of the content on the channel because you will love it. Now, let me give you a little bit of backstory because I did make a video on how to mix your beats in FL Studio, I think maybe 3 months ago. I'm not 100% sure on the date of that, but I made a video a while ago and that was focused on trap beats because that's what I was making at the time. So I want to answer the question, you know, why should you watch this over that? Basically, I've gotten better at mixing, but that video is still relevant. You can still watch that if you want to. I went really in depth, like 42 minutes of going through my mixing process and whatnot, but I've picked up a few different things that I want to share with you in this video. So I'm gonna walk through a beat that I basically just mixed. It is Sunday today. I don't usually record on Sunday, but I have been going through a intense mixing and mastering session over the past few days because I want to get 100 beats uploaded to my catalog on well, my beat catalog basically at jcarteret.com/beats, so if you haven't checked that out. So I'm currently on 92, so this is the 93rd beat because I made a bunch of beats and I just didn't mix them in it. Like, I made a bunch of beats on stream, so I couldn't mix and master them because I was just in the headphones and I didn't have the opportunity to use my speakers and stuff along those lines. And in December, I was just knocking out beats but not mixing any because I already built up a backlog of beats that I hadn't mixed yet. So I'm just going through that and getting them all done. But yesterday, I think I mixed about 15 beats, something like that, something along those lines. So, you know, it's still fresh on my mind. I can just go through the process with you really easily. With all these beats, generally these days I'm using my R&B trap mixing template, which you can get. There's a link in the description down below for that, or go to jcarteret.com/FL templates. If you go through that link, you'll see my other templates. Get the R&B trap one. That is the best one. That's the one that I'm going to be using right now. But this is what it comes like basically when I use this template, my beats are already half mixed. I don't really need to do much to them, so it makes the mixing process very easily. But what I'll do in this video is I'll just walk you through some of the settings and some of the features that I use on my mixer for different elements of the song, how I'll bring it all together and how I'll get that final mix. I was just about to master this, but I thought, you know, let's do this video. And now we're 4 minutes in, as my thing is saying. I'm probably like 3 minutes in, to be honest. But let's start with the mixing. Okay, so first of all, let me play a little bit of this beat so you can kind of hear what's going on. Yeah, let's play it back so you can kind of hear. I think I've finished the mixing, I'm ready for the mastering. Let's play it and then I'll walk you through the settings that we've got going on here. Okay, so that's what the beat sounds like right about now. We have, let's start with the main melody. We'll just go through the instruments that coming, so it'll be easier for you to understand what's going on. So with the main melody, what I have done over there is it originally was an Omnisphere patch. Let's bring in, I believe it will be this one. So let's go to pattern. This is what it originally sounds like. Now I'm not going to go through what patch it is and all that sort of stuff, because if I do that for every instrument, that's going to take ages, and I generally do that in my beat making videos. This is a mixing tutorial, so let's stick to that. Now what I would generally do with my melodies is I play them in the octave that I want them to be in. So I'll start with chords and create the melody, and then I will, of course, I start with FL keys actually, and it's always rooted to my main melody pad channel. It's usually called main melody pad, but I've changed it because we're not using a pad here. And this channel, the way that I've set it up, it has 2 EQs on it that just make instruments sound very ambient and in the background, which is the kind of sound that I like to go for. So really we start off with our instruments sounding kind of like where we want to get it to. Let's just play this back with these effects, and I'll walk through the effects and walk through the next process. So as you can see, it's way less in your face, it's more in the background, it's way less harsh, which is what I want from these instruments. I don't want them to be harsh, I don't want them to be punching people in the face with the melodies. I want the melodies to kind of sit in the background and allow the artist to punch people in the face with their vocals basically. So the 2 EQs, it's just very, very simple. It's just fruity parametric EQ. It comes with FL Studio. This is what I've got with the EQs. It's basically a bandpass. I've cut off the low end to 118. It depends on the instrument. If you've got a very bass heavy instrument, then I'll need to cut off more the low end. I'll usually cut off around to 200 if the low end's coming through too much, so that it doesn't mess with the 808. And then we've got another EQ which basically cuts off that low end again, and then we've cut off the high end a little bit more in this other EQ. So the reason why I've got 2 EQs is because sometimes 1 EQ is not enough. Sometimes you can EQ and try to take out frequencies, but the frequencies are still there. So sometimes I double up, add another EQ to just make sure that we're getting rid of the high ends and the low ends basically, so that we can just get that nice mid ambient sound that I like to go for. So those are the main effects on there. Then we've got RC20, but I'll get to that in a second, because generally when I'm making a beat, we don't get to RC20, you know, from the get-go, and RC20 isn't included in the FL Studio template. I add this after. So what I would do at this point is this would have been an octave lower, and then when I'm ready to actually, when I've found the melody and I'm like, yes, this is a nice melody, I'm ready to go through and make the beat, I will pitch it up. So I'll pitch it up a whole octave. So in order to do that, you just press Control A and then Control up. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll pitch it up a whole octave so that it's a high, you know, octave like you're hearing there. And then the reason that I'm doing that, I'll reveal in a second, but then I'll add RC20, so it adds some flavor to our instrument, and the specific preset and the specific amount of RC20 that I add differs every time. It differs for every instrument, so there's no like specific template for that, but this is what we've got on there right about now. And let's listen to this back. You can hear a little bit of noise. And basically what RC20 does is it just gives it some character, gives it some flavor, gives it some warmth, and gives it a little bit extra punch. So what I would do at this point is I just bring this melody into the playlist, and then I'd bounce this down using Control, Alt, and C. And then once that's done, I'll get a audio file like this, and then I pitch it down a whole octave back to where I wanted it to be. So where it was originally when I was making the melody. And then at that point, I'll put it back through to track 1. So my main melody track, while I accidentally just moved something there. What did I move? No. Where were we? Play a smooth clip. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'll basically pitch it down, and then once you pitch it down, I also turn off RC20, but I leave on my EQs because I don't believe adding too much EQ is a thing, because all I'm doing is cutting out frequencies. I'm not actually boosting anything. So those frequencies that I cut the first time are just getting cut even more now, which is pretty great for what I want to do. So then we end up with this. Nope, we don't end up with that. Let's go to song. We end up with this. I also normalize it and turn on crossfade, just so you know. And we basically do that for every single melody. That's a big hack for trying to create ambient melodies that don't beat you over the face and that are sitting in the background, that have that color, that warmth, that texture, that don't sound thin and you know, digital, that sound beautiful and lush in your headphones and whatnot. This is how you do it, and this works for pretty much anything. Everything pretty much, I'll pitch it down after turning it into audio and doing all that sort of stuff. So this is the hack. This is a hack that's really going to help you out. So after that, let's get into main melody high. Is the same thing. It's just, you know, this on its normal pitch, and that's just specifically for this song. I don't always have this. This is just this same channel pasted over, so the high part can have its own channel. So if I'm bouncing down to stems, I have 2 different channels, otherwise they'd both come through the same channel, and then that would be a terrible stem. Next, we've got the chord ARP, which basically has 2 EQs again. These are the 2 EQs for the chord ARP. Now we're really cutting off that low end. We're cutting off that low end a lot, and we've got a cut on the high end at around 2,578, and then this is just the same EQ copied twice, the same principles as before, to make sure that those frequencies that I want to cut out are actually being cut out. And I will just copy and paste this melody to the ARP melody, and then I will do the exact same thing, although sometimes I would pitch the ARP melody up an extra octave, because we will add RC20. I generally use the VHS preset from RC20, and well, there's a siren in the background. Give me a sec. Okay, it's finally done. So basically I use the VHS presets for my chord ARPs most of the time, and I just mess around with RC20 to just get it to where I want it to be. We can listen back to one of, I think, is this the chord ARPs? Let me just find it real quick. I might have it in here, I might not, depending on, you know, whether I kept the channel or I just got rid of it after I got the sound. Yeah, this is the ARP. So if we take the ARP out of the channel, this is what it sounds like. So let's bring that back to my chord ARP channel. So having this preset just makes things way easier, because I can just preview what the sound's gonna sound like before I even, before we go to the next step. So this will basically make this ARP sound way more ambient because of those two band passes. And then we add the RC20 retro color to add that color and that warmth and that character. And then it sounds like this. Okay, so then after that, we're not done. We're almost done, but then I add halftime. So it depends on the ARP which halftime I use. Usually it's either 1 bar or half. Generally I leave it on 1 bar, but it depends on the ARP and it depends on how much stuff is going on. So after we add halftime, what this does is it actually pitches it down. So that's why I pitched it up an extra octave before, because halftime will pitch it down. And then with halftime, it makes the ARP even more ambient. So as you heard, this ARP is going all over the place. And those are generally the ARPs that I like to pick, because I know that I'm going to use halftime on it later. So this is what happens after you add halftime. So very subtle, melodically sweeping ARP there. That sounds beautiful, but doesn't really get in the way, doesn't make too much of a statement, basically. And that's what you really want with these ambient type R&B trap beats. So that's the chord ARP out of the way. Like, of course, we still, change it into audio. I don't think I pitched it down, because halftime generally does that. Sometimes I'll pitch it up an extra octave because I want to pitch it down after, but that really depends on the ARP, because some ARPs can go that high, some ARPs can't. So sometimes I'll pitch it up again and then pitch it down here, and sometimes I will not. Let's actually change this to crossfade. This should generally always be on crossfade, in my personal opinion. For me, basically that's what I use. And then obviously I normalize and I send it to the same channel. So let's turn off this, and then after I send it to the channel, I turn off these effects, because you don't want it halftime twice and you don't want too much RC20 on it. And the EQs are perfectly fine. I don't mind 4 EQs on the same thing, as long as there's no boosting. If you got a bunch of boosting, then you might have to think about whether you have that many EQs. So next we've got the counter melody channel, which I don't believe we've got a counter melody in here. Let me quickly check. No, so we haven't got a counter melody. So I'll just quickly look through the effects that we have in here, so you can see the EQ that we've got over here. This is what I've got for the counter melody. We've got a light cut in the high end, around 8,000, but there's still some high end in there. And then we've got a cut in the low end to around 200. It's actually at 193, and that is our counter melody. And all these volumes are set pretty nicely. I didn't mention, when I am mixing, I do want my volumes to be at specific places. For example, the main melody, I don't want it to go past the word melody. Generally I want it around there. And then for the ARP, we'd want it lower than the main melody. So let's bring it over here, and we want the main melody to the left, and we want the ARP, because it's a high-end instrument, to the right, and then bring those together. It sounds beautiful like this. So with the chord pad, here are the effects. We got some EQ on there, and we basically cut off the low end like ridiculously. And we've got a little bit of a boost around the 2480 hertz. and we've got some cut in the high end yet again, and this is basically what we have for chord like bells and keys that I'd have in the chorus. These are usually high-end instruments, like, so they sit in the high end of the frequencies. And yeah, we do the same pitching up and then turning into audio and then pitching down, and we use RC20 on that as well. And this will generally be the same RC20 that I used on the main melody, and this is how that sounds by itself. So with this, I did pitch it up an extra octave so that I could get a nice high-end pad. Basically, I generally don't want my pad to be in the same register as my main melody. I want it to be an octave higher so that when the chorus comes in, you can really tell it's the chorus, because now, wow, there's a whole new layer of frequencies coming through, basically. So then we've got the chorus top melody, which I don't believe we're using in this track either. And when I'm not using the track, what I do is I write this in front of it. So brackets NU, that means not used. And the reason why I do this is because I've got all these channels set up already. When I bounce it down into stems, all these channels will be bounced out. And sometimes it bounces out inserts as well, which is weird, but it will bounce down all the channels. So I have to write not used in front of the channels so that I know these are not channels that were used in this beat, so I can just quickly delete those before I turn all the rest of the channels into a zip file that people can download as stems. So that's a really great tip when you're using a template like this. So the top melody, we've got a parametric EQ, and we've cut off the low end around 443 and cut the high end around 5,000, and that's basically that EQ over there. We've got Fruity Love filter on there just standing by, just in case I want to use it, and I believe we also have that on the counter melody just in case it needs a bit more filtering. And for vocal chops, which we don't have any vocals in this particular beat, but generally if I get a vocal chop from Arcade, I'll route it through to this channel, and on here we've got EQ again, and we've cut off the low end around, is that 52? I might need some more cutting, to be honest. That's not a lot of cutting. And we've cut off the high end around 7,300. So this is generally how I do our vocal chops. And I think the reason why I didn't add so much cutting to the low end is because I reverb my vocal chops to high heaven. Like, I just want all of it to be reverb. I don't want any dry, I just want it to be reverb, basically. So I apply 7th heaven reverb here. You can use FL verb. Is it FL reverb? I don't know what they call it. I haven't used it in ages. Fruity reverb. You can use the reverb that comes in FL Studio. I do have a stock plugins version of this template as well. If you go using the link in the description and you go to the RnB trap template page, if you scroll down, you can get to the stock plugins version if you don't want to use the same plugins that I use, or you just want to use stock plugins exclusively. Now, I use 7th heaven there, and then I would usually add RC20 to this, and I'd use the VHS preset and mess around with that. And then most of the time recently I've been using halftime, so I'll either use halftime on half a beat or the 1 bar beat again. And yeah, I'll make sure that I'll pitch up the Arcade vocals within Arcade before doing all that sort of stuff. So first of all, I'll create the melody, and then I'll add the effects, and then I'll pitch it up and then listen back to it, and then I'll bring it into the arrangement or bring it into the playlist, and then basically turn it into audio. Sometimes I'll pitch it down depending on the vocals, because sometimes it sounds good pitched down an extra octave, but generally I'll leave it how it is. So next we've got the riser, which is basically just our riser into the chorus. This is our riser. Very low. I like it to be quite subtle because when we actually apply the mastering, it's going to be quite high. I'd like to set this riser, particularly the airy riser, to around 30%. And basically the only thing we've got on here is EQ, and we've just cut off some low end and cut off some high end, and Bob's your uncle. We just leave the riser down there. Generally, I won't really mess with any of the mixers down here. I won't touch any of these knobs. I'll just make sure that the sound is coming in where I want it to be by moving these knobs. So as you can see, all these are moved around, and I'll just move it to where I want it to be. This is, what is it called? There's some sort of word for it where you mix before going into something else. Gain staging. It's called gain staging. So basically, you want to adjust your volume before it's even sent into the mixer, because if you adjust it after it's sent into the mixer, then you're sending it in at a certain volume and then reducing it in the mixer, where you can send it into the mixer at the volume that you want it to be at, which I guess is better. I don't know. I haven't really done a test on before and after of doing, you know, different versions with one gain staged and one not gain staged. So I generally just, you know, mess around with where I want it to be before I send it into the mixer. And then in the mixer, if I really need to take it down because I couldn't take it down enough over here, then I'll like move stuff down here. Or if I need to, I generally don't need to turn things up. Like, that's not really a problem that I ever have. So that's basically all the melodies, all mixed, all done. You know, as you can see, some things are panned to the right, top melody, vocal chops, counter melody, chord up, and then the main melody is always panned to the left basically, and the chord pad is in the middle. And that's how I generally mixed those. And then we can get to the drums now. So I like to use rims. I like to start with a rim and then bring in a rim and a snare in the chorus. So like, I usually like to make sure it's hitting, you know, I don't even edit this. Like, I've just left it how it is in the template. So if you download the template, everything's going to be where it needs to be for like the drums and whatnot. So I leave the rim there, and when the snare comes in, it's much higher. It's like there, just below that 808. As you can see, is that 34? No, 21, my bad. So that's that. In terms of processing, we just got some EQ on that. We've basically got a small dip on the high end, and we've rolled off some of the low end around 229, I think. But I've edited this from, you know, that video where I did the trap mixing template and where I made my trap mixing template, because what I was realizing is I was rolling off too much of the low end and my claps and snares were just sounding thin. So I need to give more low end in there, and this is a perfect place for it to be. Then hi-hats, we just rolled off most of the low end because you don't need low ends in hi-hats, and we've rolled it off to like 3,479, and that's the hi-hats. And yeah, well, we can play that back if you want to. Might turn this down, to be honest. This is a little bit high, but generally what I'll do is I'll have everything around this level. It sounds good to me now in the headphones, and then after I apply the mastering effects, I'll really hear what's too loud and what needs to be brung down and all that sort of stuff, and I'll do like a little bit more tweaking there. I don't think a lot of people do that, or I don't think it's suggested or recommended to do stuff like that. Generally, you're supposed to master in a whole different project, but I like to do everything in one project because it's just easier for my workflow, and that's generally what I like to do. So with the snare, we got the EQ again, and we rolled it off to around 294. And I think we've got a small boost in the high end. And this snare is basically our background filter snare. You'll hear it over there. I love that snare, and I use it in pretty much every beat. Sometimes I change it out and use a different snare, but generally I'm using that snare. Now with the open hat, we've got a little bit more interesting stuff going on. We've cut off all the low end again, so around to 3,600, and a little boost to the high end, little boost, but we've also added a delay. Now the delays on, as you can see in the top left, the time is 4. And we've got it on normal, and I believe we didn't touch anything else. We just moved this to 4, and basically every time the open hat hits, we've got a delay after. Let me quickly let you hear that. And for our perk, we don't have any processing whatsoever. And then we move on to our 808s. Now with the 808, we've got the 808 linked to the kick via the EQ. And we've also added sound goodizer. So this is our EQ on the 808. We've rolled off the high end to around 716. And we have a point at 117 where we basically, where the kick hits. Like this is where I've boosted my kick. So when the kick hits, this will dip at 117, and we've got a small cutoff around, you know, around the 20 hertz frequency and whatnot. So that's that. Let me quickly show you the kick so you can kind of get what's going on over here. So as you can see, we've got that boost around 117. And we've got a dip around 56. Let me just bring in the kick and 808 so you can see what's going on. Let's actually bring in the EQ. So as you see, when the kick hits, the 808 dips in the frequency to let the kick come through. And I've done that through using the FL Fruity Peak controller. If you want to know how to do that, go and check out my video. I'll link it. I think it's like how to mix your kicks and 808s. I'll show you exactly how to do that. There's no point me showing you how to do that in this video because it'll just make it very, very long. And then with the synth bass, we're doing the same thing as with the 808s. Basically, we have another band at 117 to dip down if we have any kicks when the synth bass is going on, because sometimes I'll use a synth bass instead of 808 in this particular beat. And in my previous like 10 beats, I've just been using the synth bass to lead into the chorus, so I haven't had any kicks around there. But here we've got a dip around 55 and a dip around 1270, and this is what the synth bass sounds like. So that's that. I didn't play the 808 back to you, and we need to look at the sound goodizer. Sound goodizer, I've just got an A and it's there. Like I haven't checked these settings in ages because it works, so I just leave it there. Sometimes I'll add some blood overdrive if it's needed, but this is what the 808 sounds like with, you know, some other drums. Let's play it with the other drums. All right, there's one thing that I forgot to add that's super, super important. Basically, where the kick hits. Now, in my last video, I believe I told you I like to get my kick to hit at minus 6 dB. That is no longer the case. I like to get my kick to hit at minus 9 dB. I'm pretty much always using the same kick these days, and the way this kick works is if it's over 9, if it's at 6, and I go to master it, it just gets distorted, and I don't want my kicks to be distorted generally, so I bring it down to around 9. Sometimes it hits like 9 or minus 7 around there. Let's play it back. So I'm talking about in terms of where the whole track hits while the kick's hitting. I generally want it to be like around 9 there, maximum, maybe even 7 max, but don't want it to be at 6, because if it is at 6, then it usually distorts for me. So just needed to tell you that. Remember, you know, drums in mono, so 808 is panned all the way to mono. You basically, this little button is basically your mono control. So if you press left click and you move it up, it will go all the way to the right, and that will make it mono. If you move it left, it will actually separate it. So if you've got some sounds that you want to be wider, you can use this control and move it left and that sort of stuff. So keep that in mind. Hope this helped you out. Let's send you back to wherever I plonk this clip into. Then we have the beat tag, which I haven't added my beat tag to this beat just yet, but basically I'm going to make a video on how to create a beat tag. So if that video is already out, I'll link it over there. But basically I've just pushed this all the way out because my beat tag is quite low, and there's no need in normalizing it, because when I push it all the way up, it's at the right place. But we just got a delay over there, and we basically turned this down to around, I don't know, that looks like 10% or whatever. But we've got the time on 4 as well, and that's basically that. Like, I can play the beat tag back if you want it. This is called Raid Cooking. Just the beat tag. And we also have this clap reverb send, where, you know, the clap, the rim, the snare all get sent to this particular reverb. So over here you can see this is sending about half its volume to this clap reverb send, about half, just a bit less than half. Sirens again, but if I stop, then this is going to take ages, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Sorry. But yeah, we've got, I believe we're just using the London plate again, and we've got it all the way wet. Oh damn, is my vocal chop not all the way wet? Okay, it's not. I thought it was all the way wet. My bad. Totally forgot that it is not all the way wet. Come on, sirens. Who's dying? Who's committing crimes? Chill out. So yeah, I'm unsure if I might try it out all the way wet and see what difference we make. I don't remember why it's not all the way wet. Maybe I've forgotten, or maybe it's actually getting the right sound for me, but it's been working and I haven't needed to change it, so I wouldn't suggest you change it, but you can try it out. So we've got Seventh Heaven again, and we've got a London plate preset, and that's basically all we've got over there. As I said, you can use FL reverb instead of Seventh Heaven, or whatever reverb that you use. And let's play that then. Just a little bit of reverb. It just ties everything up really nicely. When you haven't got any reverb and things are dry, it just sounds deader. Like, the reverb just makes things flow nicer, I believe. So that's the mix basically. That is how you mix your R&B trap beats. Those are all the elements you need. This is another 40-minute long video. Didn't really expect it to take as long as the other video. I thought it was going to be way quicker, but yeah, these are all the channels we got. Remember, this R&B trap template is available to download. Link will be in the description down below, or go to jcarteray.com/FL templates. You can check out the rest of my, you know, kits and all that sort of stuff over there. But then when I'm ready to master it, I'll just loop the chorus and I'll fling on ozone, and we'll get to that. But I've already made a video on how to master your beats, so go and check that out. And yeah, I'm gonna go master this and get on with the rest of my day, because I've now taken out basically an hour to do this video, and we gotta get back to work. I hope this video has helped you out. I hope me taking out this hour was worth it to you. Let me know in the comment section down below if it was. I should have asked the question of the day, but I totally forgot. My question of the day, I guess, is what is your favorite plugin to use when mixing? Let me know in the comment section down below. That will be very, very interesting. If you got any other questions or any other videos you want me to make, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll just ask you to leave 3 different comments. I'll be happy if you leave one, or maybe do one comment with all the answers to everything. Basically, tell me what you want to know. Let me know, you know, answer the question of the day. And yeah, I don't remember what the other question was, but I'll see you in the next video where you'll learn more about online business, online marketing, and music production. Peace out.